When you got up this morning, did you hear a voice telling you that you're amazing, that you're absolutely awesome, that everything you touch today is going to turn to gold, is going to be exactly what you want it to be? Or did you perhaps somewhere along the way hear a voice that said, you really think you're going to be able to do that? You failed last time you tried. Why do you think it's going to be any different this time? Why can't you be more like your brother? You know, we hear voices in the back of our heads, and they make a world of difference. We're going to talk for a minute about where these voices come from and what we can do to change them so that we can hear positive voices, not negative voices. I want you to think for a moment when you were a newborn baby and the nurse was cleaning you up, getting you ready to give to mom. Do you think you were saying to yourself, I'm going to be a failure in life. I'm never going to be able to do anything right? Or some other negative statement. Those voices don't come from you. They come from someplace else, from somebody else. And yet we allow those voices to define who we are, who we can become, and where we're going. So, where did they come from? Well, quick story about a client. She had passed the CPA exams, but she didn't identify as a CPA. When we got everything unpacked, it turns out that her third grade teacher had told her she was never going to be a success in life because she wasn't any good in math. And so even though she had earned that designation as a CPA, she didn't identify as a CPA because of what that bullying third grade teacher had told her 55 years before. What had that cost her professionally in terms of opportunity? What did that cost her in terms of her self-esteem? What did that cost her financially? A CPA can bill a whole lot more than a bookkeeper can. Why is it that one voice sticks and another voice doesn't? We have all heard things like that. They have come from parents, they've come from teachers, they have come from religious leaders, community leaders, somebody in a position of power and influence in our lives has made a statement like that. Now, fortunately, most of the time they just sort of roll off our backs or we roll our eyes and say, whatever. But sometimes they stick, and they stick in our subconscious without us ever being aware of them. And yet those voices stay with us. And they define who we are and who we can become. The first thing is, it was a lie. Nobody has the right to define who you are, what you can accomplish, who you can become. That is simply a choice that each of us have a right to make for ourselves. So what happens when we have this voice that is telling us that we're less than we really believe we are? Well, I have a strategy, and it's the strategy I used with that client. And I don't remember her teacher's name, but we'll call her Mrs. Jones. So I told Jody, I said, okay, how do you prove that a lie is a lie? Well, you prove it with truth. So we're going to come up with 5 truths that prove that was a lie. How did you do in math in high school? I got A's. Oh, okay. How did you do in math in college? I got A's. Oh, okay. Are you a CPA? Yes. Now, I understand that only about 15% of the people who take all 4 parts of the CPA exam for the first time pass all 4 parts that time. How did you do? I passed all 4 parts. Have you ever bounced a check? No. Okay, we've got 5 definitive truths that prove that what Mrs. Jones said to you about who you could become was a lie. I want you to go come up with 5 more. And then every time you hear Mrs. Jones' voice, I want you to say, Mrs. Jones, you're wrong, because boom, 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 and hit her with at least 5 truths. Eventually, and more quickly than you might imagine, Mrs. Jones' voice will quiet to the point that it effectively goes away. And we talk about positive affirmations and using those to plant in our brains, who we can become and what we can accomplish. When our brain is full of all of these negative self-perceptions that are wrong, those affirmations have no place to stick. So as we get rid of those negative things, work to replace them with something positive. And where possible, make it a direct contradiction to the lie that you were told. So after Jody has worked on quieting Mrs. Jones' voice a bit, doesn't have to be fully done at this point, she started to say, my success is assured because I work with numbers and I help clients with numbers. And I'm fabulous with numbers because boom, 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 boom. And so we're going through the process of silencing the voice of inadequacy and telling us what we can't do and who we can't become, and replacing it with the same truths to tell us that yes, we can do this, that we are awesome, that we can become who we choose to become. When I talked to Jody a couple of months after this particular conversation, she thanked me for doing more for her business than all of the business coaches she had hired. And I smiled and I told her, I really didn't do anything for your business. I just helped you show up in your business as the person that you really are. And that's what made a difference for your business. If you have voices that are telling you you can't accomplish your dreams, that you're not good enough, reach out to me and let's talk, because when I know that you don't have to live in the pain of self-defeat and low self-esteem and self-doubt because of voices that don't belong to you, even if you're hearing your own voice, it didn't start with you. It started with somebody else. And you internalized that voice. You internalized that message. We can break the chains. We can get rid of that voice. And in the process, we can change your life, your business, and your world. So reach out to me and let's talk. This is your time.